This is the meeting series, which are organized by Federal Association of Polish Engineers and Technicians in Germany. And the goal of those meetings is to bring insightful perspectives from experts and leaders in technology and engineering, and to start the fruitful dialogue on the emerging topics we see in the real world. Today, together with Adam Panush, we are hosting our first meeting, and we are going to cover a topic which is often overlooked. And the topic is when not to use the AI. There is a lot of excitement around the topic, around the artificial intelligence transforming our organizations. But the truth is that not every situation is beneficial when we use AI. Sometimes it can even make our life more harmful, ethically, operational risk, and other factors. But the goal is, and I will be making this kind of magic, don't worry, that is all agreed. So the goal of this short session is not to criticize AI. It's rather to help us recognize when it shouldn't be the first solution, and to explore the practical way to make those decisions responsibly. So I'll try to look at the more examples so that to bring us to the discussion, and just to make the construction clear, I will talk about 15 minutes, I hope, not more, bringing my points there with the examples. And then I would really love us to have a short discussion to see your views from your organizations, and to bring those or other topics on the plate. So let's look at those bad DNA. Data is the genetic code of AI. If that DNA is flawed, the whole organism, no matter how advanced, will actually go to the failure mutations. And why I use this analogy? Because with the data is the same. If you look at the long-term strategy of usage, of data usage, actually, that is the same. Because of the random nature of mutations, here is that we care about what we input, but we don't know in the long perspective what we are going to get from it. I also used to say that, hallucinations, it's garbage in and gospel out. I'm reverting that a bit, because for me, hallucination is not just something went wrong. It's typically mistake. But we are in a culture where we are not going to mention that much. That's why, I'm quite radical in here. And I give you an example, because that is all about the data quality as well. And we know that in 2025, already now, being in end of October, we have at least 20 different situations from GDPR. So General Data Protection Regulation, I'm always forgetting this abbreviation. So according to those GDPR cases, there are, for example, TikTok. They were fined more than $600 million. And why? Because they transferred European personal data to China, right? Or Google, $200 million because they just added advertisement to the emails. And actually, that is violation of the European law. But the top of top is usually the biggest. So Meta, can you imagine, more than $1 billion? And actually, that is the interesting case, because they have the contracts prescribed, but those clauses were not sufficient enough. So, here we are coming to the risk assessment and technical safeguards to be applied on top of even documentation we are talking about. So this is one point. Black box problem. And here I like this metaphor saying that if you and your team don't know the reasoning behind the AI solution, then you are not managing technology, but you are managing luck. I really like that because that is somehow shows an example from last week, one of my colleagues. So the story was with the LLM models, and what he was doing coding and wanted to have the companion for that. So he was asking and getting reasonable answers for the questions. So they together worked through the framework, made the objects and everything worked perfectly. Also, LLM helped him to optimize his code, because previously he was mentioning about the million records, and before that took him like 2 times longer than after this optimization LLM did. That's totally fine. However, then the story began. When trying to optimize further, LLM added additional lines of the code. That was first thing, and that was really hard to debug it because you don't know where it is placed. And the second thing, somehow he started to started to replace the variable, saying that this way of convention is better. The reason behind, we don't know. Yeah, so sometimes using AI should be more conscious. And loss compass syndrome. I give you here 2 examples. All is from my experience. All is from the financial sector where I'm coming from, but from the different companies, to not mention one. Yeah. So first example, wrong place for automation. Very low level example with the release process. So we know that even if we're in an agile or waterfall, doesn't matter. We actually have to release whatever we reproduce. However, this process usually requires approvals, a lot of manual evidences being included, and also creating the change request, which is like final confirmation that we have a green light to go ahead. We can move one slide before still. Okay. So what happened? Management decided to optimize the process, and what they've done, they automated the process of creation, the final step. So creating the change request. You can imagine, did it help? No. Why? Because actually 80% of really hard and manual work was not there. That was in evidencing and gathering test reports and other things. And the most painful thing, like getting approvals from different approvers, was inside those 80%. So why wrong place of automation? And also I will give you another example, conscious of time. So that is very high level regulatory project, 1,000 applications, around 100 questions in the questionnaire to answer for regulator, and now 4 months to do that. So first sign, it's actually one-time event. Yeah, just to set the situation. Then if we want to automate the survey itself, it might take around months, yeah, to be fair, because we need to understand that, we need to optimize, we need to go to prod with that and all that stuff, right? So let's assume it's months. Then to automate the process itself, another month. and the quality is questionable. Let's agree. So 2 months of work with questionable result and a lot of responsibility, because that is the regulatory process. So what? We've decided not to do that. And actually we were in time. So you see, sometimes we need to think about automation twice. Yeah. So I will be just, throwing some of the examples which we can then use for our discussion. And now, one of the biggest questions organizations face today. So when should humans decide, and when should machines decide? So let's start with those human things, yeah? When values matter more than variables. I will give you an example of hiring process, because nowadays ATS systems are very popular. And I can agree that we need that for first wave of CVs flowing to us. It's a great thing to have a possibility to see so many candidates. But even today, I wrote on one of the posts from my colleague, you've got 2,039 answers to the post of the new job. And he started looking at the quality of those, CVs and so on. And he realized that actually he posted a wrong description, not specific description of the role, and he've got a lot of CVs which will never be applied. So they shouldn't even apply for that kind of job. Yeah, and I personally would like to give you a very human-centered example. So that was years ago. I was hiring IT business analyst to my team, and the candidate was very reasonable. He had a lot of expertise behind, and he was working the financial sector. And my normal practice, hiring practice, was to give the practical exercise. And he asked me that for him to build the proper BPMN model as a part of the exercise, he actually would need Google. It just he didn't remember exact naming of different boxes, but he can do that. And you know what? I agreed. I just gave him this chance. After 15 minutes, I came and I saw the perfectly shaped process, and I hired him. And you know what? After those all years, he's still working in big corporation, a different one, but on the director level. And he worked very hard on the very top projects for the risk management area. So you see, sometimes human being to hire human being approach is a bit different than just ATS systems. Oh, I'm reaching 15 minutes. Oh my goodness. So I will hurry up. Then when context-based calculation, and here I will give you an example of one of the directors I got to know. So imagine quite a big department, director of the department, and very good results, delivery-wise, everything. But one caveat: micromanagement, unprofessional behavior, hard to cooperate with. And now, if you rely only on the system, even if taking in consideration feedbacking and all that things, this system might suggest that to load down the end-year review score and we are done. But if you know the context around, for example, that people are very unhappy with the cooperation, his team is rather looking for another jobs and to drop. And can you imagine how worse this person would be without the team? 0 to 10%, maybe even not that. And in here, we can make the mistake, because we can think about more rigoristic way of punishment. Will it be correct? I don't know. And we are actually allowed to make mistakes because that is making our experience, and we exceed our experience due to that. However, if we go to the AI, and AI is making mistakes, I will give you also example of the Agstrop Corporation. So they lost the tender because of improper AI contextual interpretation. And in that case, AI should have the availability to make mistake. Throwing that to you guys. Now, responsibility can be automated. And here, very quickly, accountability culture versus blame culture. I think that it would be totally unfair saying that we as human beings want this responsibility on us. Why? Because I see in many corporations that this responsibility is not on one person, not on three. Usually it's on the team or department. So like shadow responsibility somewhere. And why is happening that? Because years of our human beings being on this earth claim that we are still in this blaming mode. We are very happy to pose the finger on somebody who was responsible and who failed. And we are actually not saying about the problem, we're saying challenge, but we all know what does it mean. So again, question, if we have the possibility to point the finger on AI, would we do that happily? Maybe yes. Okay, so let's move quickly to the next slide, and let's look at the machine's perspective. So when volume beats capacity, thousands of transactions, sensors, data points, so AI sees the patterns which we probably don't see. And that is extremely helpful in fraud detection, in cybersecurity. When process outperforms intuition, yeah, because AI doesn't get tired. It's not swayed of politics in the company. But yesterday we were talking about the mood, and here's maybe the question, because we see some patterns when we are asking even ChatGPT about something, and it seems to be ignoring us after 10, 15 questions on the same thing around. Didn't you catch the same? So when speed saves value or lives, and it's inevitable. So if value, we can talk more about, I don't know, trading algorithms, for example, yeah? So for lives, anomaly alerts or emergency response systems. So I think that we even shouldn't discuss that here, that is the best place to use AI technology and whatever we can. And I wanted to make that very practical. So on the next slide, I'm proposing very concrete steps. And those are a bit different than human think of. Adam, if we can go to the next slide. Maybe it's only me that, okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. So first ask yourself if the task is data-driven, repetitive, or measurable. And really, you've got my examples where actually we didn't use that, and that was a good choice because that was not repeatable. Then evaluate the risk. And I'm not speaking here about thousands of questions to go through, but actually look at the bad scenario, the worst scenario ever. What can happen the worst if you use AI and it fail? That will help you a lot because that's the same and even you know better than me. Yeah, so we have positive and negative testing. So that is the most negative testing you ever can imagine, and see what will be the impact potentially. Yeah, and the third step would be to define the oversight. Yeah, on the next slide, I'm giving you as a very, very concrete question. Who monitors the results? And how do you ensure transparency and fairness over time? And here again, awareness, transparency, responsibility, everything in one go. Yeah, so we should establish that, not just talk about this. Yeah. Adam, if we can move to the next slide just for a while. So 3, 2, 1, go. I think that if you at least ask those 3 questions, or maybe you go through those 3 steps, you might be in a better position than those 75% of the companies which are failing to implement AI. Why only 15 are good? Because they treat AI projects not as the POC, so not at the proof of concept. And if you treat that exactly as a product and project, maybe that's why. And that's what statistics says, at least. Yeah. So, and the very last, before we jump into some of the discussions, because I'm very much curious your thoughts about that, and see what you are not using in is there any situation you are not using AI consciously? So yeah, if we can go to the last slide. And here is the quote I wanted to, start our discussion from. A new world is like a fresh seed sown on the ground of the discussion. So thank you very much for that part. And I really hope that we can now jump and talk about those and other points I've mentioned already. So is there any situation in your company when you actually don't use AI consciously?
Hi, Victoria. Well, actually, I wanted to ask one question.
Sure.
So first of all, thanks for opening this topic. As you know, I am in QA domain, so in quality assurance, and we are working with various clients. And I've seen a bunch of companies rushing towards AI and wanted it to be implemented as soon as possible, even though they are not really sure for which reason or for which purposes they want to use it. Now, in your opinion, what would be a good way for someone to explain these companies that choosing not to use AI right away doesn't really mean that they are holding back innovation?
Mm-hmm. You know what? I think that, again, reasoning. Yeah, so asking this question, why? So why actually you want this? Do you want it? And I saw already that the company is saying we just need that because others have it. And they were very open. And if you see that kind of message, you can say, okay, so if you just want AI to be there, let's use something small. Yeah, so let's go to the smallest project, to the smallest process you have, and see if we can implement it there. Yeah, so I would do like really reasoning why. Yeah, and I know it's hard because people are not very open, and here, our soft skills should help us a lot, right? But like saying about the statistics, maybe it's helpful as well. Yeah, I saw that when I was dropping that, and I can share with you later on. There was the whole article about how successful companies are implementing AI, and yeah, that was exactly the statistics there. So if I am showing that, actually they are more willing to think about that twice. Yeah, so that would be kind of my I shouldn't say advice, but yeah, what I saw in my
Mhm.
practice.
Thanks.
Sure. And by the way, so that is question about, how to actually emphasize people not to use AI. And what maybe you have an example of the weirdest AI implementation you saw?
Well, nothing really comes to my mind. I mean, in our company, we are still thinking in which direction we want to go. Um, we have a couple of AI tools that can be used for testing of various AI models, but like you mentioned, it's kind of still in POC status. So we still we still didn't decide in which way we want to go.
Mhm,
But in other companies, like in other with other clients, um, AI is being used only so that they can say, okay, we are using AI. So there are a couple of prompts they've been using, but nothing really that can be that that you can measure quality with, right?
mhm.
So maybe they use it to write an email or
Oh.
to write the description in Jira or things like that, you know.
Mhm,
Um, so those would be the only examples I've seen until now, at least
mhm.
with the client that I'm currently working with.
Okay,
So,
thanks for sharing. Yeah, and actually, what I also observing, how people are using AI in big corporations. So if we take, let's say, Microsoft solution, yeah, so this Copilot thing, it's available for thousands of people, and how they use that. So for transcripting the meetings.
mm,
So actually, what it gives us, uh, people who are just involved in the meeting, they're even less focused on the meeting at all, right? So that's what we achieved, and because they rely on the script coming after.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So if you want someone to interact with, usually what we hear, oh, sorry, can you repeat? I hear that more often after that solution being implemented. Also, I see very polished emails, yeah, which is
Hmm.
which is nice to read, but it's very hard to get to the point. I don't know. That's what I notice, and I even you see in that presentation, I even haven't touched this ethical and awareness topic much because that is like I wouldn't be able to cover that in 15 minutes ever. Yeah. Okay. Any other examples? Anything else, guys? Anyone want to share?
I think in private life, the most popular use of AI is using it instead of Google
Oh yeah.
or Wikipedia, right? So you ask AI and you consider it as a truth.
Oh yeah. And if someone does, really, poor person, because sometimes this, as I was mentioning, garbage in, gossip out. So this gossip is then, flowing across the world, across the different minds, and that's how, it's not hallucination. I don't like this term. We're just using that again, nice package of the truth, right? But
Yeah, prompt engineering will be very very important in the future.
yeah, and I think it's important even now. However, I'm still wondering, and here also I'm exploring the topic. So, what is the difference when you write in normal human words? For example, give me or feel yourself as I don't know, professional writer, yeah, and then give me that and this, or there are like shortcuts right now which
Mm.
you can use instead of describing all that. So that is the newest thing I'm I'm exploring. So yeah, also can share if you want, and we can elaborate on that. That's very interesting how that works. Okay. Good. So I think that we can wrap up. We promised to have 13 minutes. I'm very happy we're done in the timelines. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. For those who didn't actively participate, but I very much appreciate your attendance. And yeah, so see you on the next sessions. We're going to have it monthly. So please follow up us on LinkedIn, on Facebook. And yeah, we're happy to share more. Thank you so much. One.